Thank you very much, Cathaoirleach. Going to be joined by colleagues later as well. Could I just extend a warm welcome, as you did, Cathaoirleach, to Liz and our colleagues here today, and thank you for your work in this regard. We all participated in committees with you when you were a distinguished member of this House over many years, Liz, and it's good to see you here again in the committee rooms. Could I just welcome any engagement on the whole issue of reconciliation and legacy? And you know, on many occasions here we have different groups, be it victims themselves or advocates for reconciliation and legacy issues here. And of course, the one thing that's extremely disappointing is the British bill that's before the House of Lords at the present time. You know, it's as we all know in this room, it's a legacy bill offering immunity to people responsible for the most heinous of crimes. And, you know, on the basis that they cooperate with a new truth recovery body. And if that bill was enacted and implemented, it would put an end to court proceedings and inquests. And, you know, we're all very conscious here, and most of us have worked along with different families who have been seeking the truth. You know, the reality is that today, the likelihood of prosecution for crimes going back most of half a century ago was very, very limited, we know. But again, as each of the contributors said there, what families want is the truth. And, you know, in my own constituency, there were bombings and deaths, and all of us know about where the bombs emanated from, but the truth that there has never been the cooperation from the British and Northern Ireland authorities in relation to bringing successful prosecutions, sadly. And, you know, just on the 28th of December last, I attended the 50th anniversary of the bombing of Belturbet, where 2 young teenagers were killed. And, you know, those families that I have worked with over the years would say to me, we're all getting older. And, you know, the way, and memories will fade as well. So it's an issue that needs to be addressed, and it's not straightforward. I saw a comment attributed to Bertie Herden recently where he said, when the issue of truth and recovery came up, he said there weren't too many left around the negotiating table when he introduced this particular subject. And we all know that we need progress on this issue, and it'll get more difficult as we go on. But the first thing the British should do is withdraw the bill that they have proposed at the present time. And it's a shame that there wasn't a determination on the part of the British government to implement the Stormont House Agreement. I think it had potential to achieve some of the issues that we all want to see addressed. Could I also say, just you mentioned in your concluding remarks, Padraig, about the disappeared. And sadly, again, there are still 4 of the people who are known as the disappeared missing. And at the present moment in my own constituency in Monaghan, the search goes on for the late Columba McVeigh. And there are people out there who have information that would be relevant. And we can't say it often enough in public fora that if anybody has a scintilla of information, they should be providing it to the authorities. And great credit is due to the Commission, the Independent Commission for the Location of Victims' Remains, for the work that they have done over the years. And we all want to keep re-echoing our support for that work. Just, I'm not very familiar with the truth recovery process in Chile and Colombia. I have some familiarity with what happened in South Africa. Maybe one of you would expand on what has been achieved in those 2 countries, how successful has it been? It's an ongoing process, I assume. Could I also just say, in the last sentence of the second paragraph of the presentation, the TRP would enable victims and their families to request information from former combatants and expedite access to state records and compensation. Now, the first thing I think of is the inability of the British government to cooperate with requests for information. In 2008, 2011, 2016, both houses of the Oireachtas passed motions unanimously calling on the British government to provide access for an independent, international, eminent legal person to all files and papers pertaining to the Dublin Monaghan bombings. That was a request repeated and repeated by a sovereign parliament to a neighbouring sovereign parliament and government. And to date, we have not got any worthwhile response to that. And all of us in the different groups that we participate in, whether it's this committee, the British Irish Parliamentary Assembly, in questions in the Dáil, I heard our colleague Deputy Brendan Howland only speak about it recently again, as other colleagues have here. And in every meeting, when we have an opportunity to meet the British Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, the Foreign Secretary, all of us as individuals will raise that particular issue. So I have just, it's just thrown out the suggestion. How confident could anybody be of the British government giving access to state records when in reference to those two awful crimes that occurred in Dublin and Monaghan on that particular day, that they've refused to give access to an international person to those papers? That's what would worry me about. I hope that my worries would be badly based, but to date they're not. But that's one weakness I would see in that. Maybe you could reassure me that you would be more confident. So you could. Now, the Irish government, successive Irish governments have said that they will provide information that will lead to truth and lead to proper investigations. And I have no doubt about whatever government is in office here will do that on behalf of the Irish people. And that's what the Irish people would wish for. Could I just say that I've known Andy Pollock over many years with his work with the Centre for Cross-Border Studies, and of course he's been a powerful advocate and worker in the promotion of cross-border activity, all Ireland work. And we have seen how much has been achieved without any fanfare of so much being addressed on a cross-border basis, the growth of the all-Ireland economy, etc. So the work of your centre has been important in highlighting the potential there and getting the message out as well of what has been achieved, but the lot of work we still have all to do as a society. Thank you, Cathaoirligh.